Hello dear students, open your SST textbook page number 256. So today we are going to study the causes for variation in climates. So what are the causes that shows variation in climate that we will study here? The climate of a place is determined by a number of factors. So in this topic we are going to study some factors that are affected on the climate. So first is the distance from the equator or latitude. Distance from the equator and latitude. So this is the equator. Okay, equator. See, this is the equator. Okay, equator of the earth. So first is one of the primary factors affecting the climate of a place is its distance from the equator. So distance from the equator, distance from the equator. This is the equator. It is the main factor that is affecting on the or that affects on the climate. So latitude gives the location of a place on earth to the north or south of the equator. So the latitude of the earth is given as a location of a place, location of a countries on the earth, where all these countries are situated in a north pole or a south pole. तो लैटिट्यूड हमें कौन सी इंफॉर्मेशन देता है? तो लैटिट्यूड हमें अर्थ पे कंट्रीज कौन से डायरेक्शंस में लोकेटेड है वो लैटिट्यूड हमें इंफॉर्मेशंस देते हैं. मतलब इक्वेटर से लेके साउथ पोल या नॉर्थ पोल या साउथ पोल पे कौन से कंट्रीज लोकेटेड है वो हमें कौन इंफॉर्मेशन देता है? लैटिट्यूड. द फार्दर अवे फ्रॉम द इक्वेटर अ लोकेशन इज द लेस सनलाइट दिस लोकेशन रिसीव्स. Okay, so see, the farther away from the equator a location is the less sunlight this location receive. मतलब इक्वेटर से जो लोकेशन और जो कंट्री इक्वेटर से ज्यादा दूर है उस कंट्री को सनलाइट लेस रिसीव होती है. वहां पे सनलाइट कैसे जाती है? कम जाती है. दैट कंट्री रिसीव्स अ लेस सनलाइट. तो वहां पे लेस सनलाइट होती है. द सनराइज फॉल डायरेक्टली ऑन द इक्वेटर. तो यहाँ पे सन है. ओके, दिस इज सन. सो दीज सन रेज आर डायरेक्टली फॉल्स ऑन दिस इक्वेटर. द सन रेज आर डायरेक्टली फॉल्स ऑन द इक्वेटर्स. सो द सन रेज हिट अर्थ इन अ स्ट्रेट लाइन. सो ऑल द सन रेज दैट हिट द अर्थ इन अ स्ट्रेट लाइन्स. But earth is spherical in shape. They spread out more at the poles than they do at the equator. When the rays spread out, they provide less heat. When all these rays of the sunlight spread out like this way, they spread out like this way, so they provide a very less heat. But on the equator, they're having a very much heat because directly sun rays heat on to the equator. The farther a place is from the equator, the colder its climate. Thus all places near the equator receives maximum heat. तो जो कंट्रीज पूरे जो कंट्रीज हैं हमारे अर्थ पे, तो जो कंट्रीज इक्वेटर से ज्यादा दूर है, सॉरी ज्यादा क्लोज है या नजदीक है, तो उस कंट्रीज पे ज्यादा सनलाइट मिलती है. ओके, और जो कंट्रीज इक्वेटर से ज्यादा दूर है तो वहां पे क्लाइमेट कैसा होता है? कोल्डर इट्स क्लाइमेट. तो वहां पे क्लाइमेट कैसा होता है? कोल्ड होता है. और दोज कंट्री दोज आर वेरी क्लोज टू द इक्वेटर, that countries receives the very hot climate, and those countries those are farther from or they are far away from the equator, those country receives a colder climate or cold climate. Now let's see the climatic and heat zones. Earth is divided into different heat zones depending on the amount of heat received from the sun. The three climatic or heat zones are as follows. Now look at this picture of Earth, and our Earth is divided into different heat zones depending on the amount of heat received from the sun. The three climatic or heat zones are as follows. So first is a sea. Our Earth is having three climatic or heat zones. The torrid zone, the temperate zone, the frigid zone. These are the three climatic zones, and in these zones the earth climate is divided. Okay, so look at this diagram of a heat zone. See, north pole, south pole. So first is a torrid zone. Here also torrid. See, this torrid zone, temperate zone and frigid zone. It is of which pole? North pole, means north direction का ये climatic condition है. And this torrid zone, temperate zone and frigid zone, this condition is of south pole. This condition is of south pole or south directions. So let's see first the torrid zone. The area on both sides of the equator between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic